Right now, I mean, we literally live in a reality where there are people with PhDs, literal doctors of philosophy, just answering phones in customer service call centers.
Oh, yeah. It's a massive inversion of everything we grew up believing.
Right. And then right down the street, there's a 22-year-old self-taught prompt engineer making like 150 grand a year. It's wild. The traditional blueprint for building a career isn't just shifting a little bit. It's completely broken.
Completely. I mean, the assumption was always so binary, right? You either had the four-year university credential and therefore you had the safety, or you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But the modern market is rewriting those rules from scratch. Hiring managers, they've honestly stopped caring about where you sat in a lecture hall 5 years ago. They are exclusively focused on what you can actually execute today.
Well, welcome to the Deep Dive. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. And we have a very specific mission for you, the listener.
Yes, we do.
Whether you are, like lifelong learner, maybe you're looking to pivot careers entirely, or you're just insanely curious about where the global economy is actually heading right now. Today's deep dive is all about decoding a massive stack of recent employment data.
And it is a mountain of data.
Well, it's huge. We're looking at official 2026 projections from LinkedIn, labor reports from the World Economic Forum, and real-time salary stuff from Glassdoor and Coursera.
Right. And when you synthesize all of that source material, it really points in one undeniable direction. The shift from credential-based hiring to skills-based hiring, it's no longer a prediction. I mean, it's just the current reality.
So our goal today is to basically hand you verified data on the 10 most profitable skills that are currently beating or fiercely competing with a traditional college degree.
Exactly. We want to compare the income potential of those skills versus the actual time it takes to learn them.
Right. And most importantly, we want to leave you with a practical action plan.
But before we list a single skill, I do need to set a really crucial boundary here based on our sources.
Sure, go ahead.
The objective today is not to just unconditionally trash universities. Formal education still has profound value, particularly in highly regulated fields, but we have to objectively examine this massive economic shift. The market is just increasingly rewarding agility.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to truly understand the value of these 10 skills, you have to understand the underlying mechanism of this shift. Let's start with the baseline, right?
Good idea.
So according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, traditionally, someone with a bachelor's degree averages around, $69,000 to $80,000 US dollars annually? That's the historic expectation for that old blueprint we mentioned.
Right. Now, contrast that BLS baseline with the current 2026 data we have from the World Economic Forum and LinkedIn. 9 out of 10 companies are now reporting that they make better hires when they evaluate candidates for specific skills rather than degrees.
9 out of 10. That is staggering.
It really is.
Yeah.
That tells us that the hiring managers actually in the trenches, the ones responsible for generating revenue, they're finding practical capabilities far more predictive of a new hire's success than just, a university name on a resume.
Yeah, and the timeline is what really jumps out at me here. Think about the return on investment. A traditional degree takes 4 years, sometimes more.
Oh, easily more sometimes.
Right, and it often incurs this massive, life-altering student debt. You are essentially waiting decades to see a true positive return on that financial investment. I mean, treating a degree like a guaranteed ticket to wealth is basically like buying a 30-year fixed mortgage on a house that might be underwater by the time you actually move in.
Wow. That is a highly accurate way to look at the debt structure, honestly.
Right. Meanwhile, the data shows these high-income skills can be acquired in literally a matter of months. We're talking targeted boot camps, online certifications, or just, disciplined freelance practice.
Yeah, acquiring one of these skills is like setting up a highly profitable Airbnb. It's agile, it's fast to market, and it generates cash flow almost immediately. You aren't waiting 4 years to see if the guests actually show up.
Exactly. And companies are clearly willing to pay premium rates for that agility. A corporation dealing with an entirely new technological landscape, they don't have 4 years to wait for an employee to get up to speed.
No, they need immediate impact on the bottom line.
So, knowing that agility and immediate impact are the driving forces, let's look at the skills themselves. Half of our top 10 list is anchored really heavily in the tech and automation gold rush. I'm looking at skills number 1, 2, 3, 6, and 10.
All right, the tech heavy hitters.
Let's start with the undisputed star of the 2026 market, generative AI and prompt engineering. The sources show salaries for this ranging from $110,000 to $216,000.
Yeah, with the median sitting right around $126,000.
And LinkedIn is tracking 177% explosive growth in AI-related skills. But let me stop you there and push back on behalf of the listener for a second.
Sure, go for it.
Median salaries of 126,000 just for prompt engineering. I mean, isn't that essentially just typing really good questions into a text box?
I hear that all the time.
Right. Like, why on earth are companies paying a massive premium for someone to just chat with a bot?
Well, it's a very common misconception, but you have to look at the underlying mechanics of what a high-level prompt engineer actually does. They are not just typing single questions.
As I said, what are they doing?
The market is paying for people who can build complex LLM flows, large language model workflows. This means chaining together multiple AI commands to automate an entire system.
Give me a tangible example of that. What does an LLM flow actually look like inside a business?
Okay, let's say a company gets like 10,000 customer support emails a day. A prompt engineer designs a system where the AI automatically reads the email, identifies the customer's account, references the company policy, and drafts a highly personalized refund response.
Oh, wow. So it does the whole heavy lifting.
Exactly. And then it sends it to a human just for a final click of approval. If that flow reduces the time a customer service team spends on ticket resolution by 40%, that prompt engineer just saved the company $3 million a year.
That is insane.
Right, so the $126,000 salary is a tiny, tiny fraction of the value they just unlocked. They aren't typists, they are a productivity multiplier.
Ah, I see. The value isn't the typing, it's the multiplication of everyone else's output. But if a prompt engineer is suddenly automating thousands of processes and generating all this digital output, I mean, they are creating an absolute mountain of data.
Oh, a massive mountain.
Which naturally leads us to the next high-income skill on the list, which is data analysis and visualization. This is pulling down $90,000 to over $150,000.
Yeah, it's incredibly lucrative.
The sources list tools like SQL, Python, Tableau, and Power BI. But for a listener who isn't, deep in the tech weeds, explain the actual mechanism here. What do these tools actually do?
So every company today operates on data, but raw data is just a chaotic, messy spreadsheet of numbers. It is completely useless to a CEO trying to make a quick decision.
Right, it's just noise.
Exactly. So SQL, which stands for Structured Query Language, that's the tool you use to actually extract the specific data you need from a massive database. Then Python is a programming language used to clean that data and find the actual patterns.
Okay, and then Tableau or Power BI.
Those are the visualization tools.
So it's basically a pipeline. You pull the data, you clean it, and then you draw a picture with it.
That's a great way to put it. Imagine a national bakery chain. They have millions of data points on what sells when. The data analyst uses SQL to pull the sales records, Python to analyze the weather patterns against those sales, and Tableau to create a simple color-coded map.
Oh, I get it. Showing the executive board that blueberry muffins sell 400% better on rainy Tuesdays.
Exactly. The executive doesn't want to see the code. They want to see the map so they can immediately adjust their supply chain. You are basically acting as a translator between raw numbers and human decisions.
And once you have all this incredibly valuable, heavily analyzed data sitting in a company's system, what happens?
Well, people try to steal it.
Exactly. Which is why the third most profitable skill right now is cybersecurity, paying anywhere from $100,000 to over $200,000. And the data specifically notes you do not need a 4-year computer science degree to get hired here.
You really don't.
But why is the degree not the barrier to entry for something that critical? I mean, keeping data safe seems like a big deal.
It's a huge deal. But the reason is because the threat landscape moves infinitely faster than university curriculums.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, a university textbook printed in 2022 is utterly useless against a new ransomware attack that was literally designed this morning. Hiring managers don't care about a candidate's theoretical knowledge of computer science history.
Right, they care if you can stop the bleeding.
Exactly. They care if the candidate has up-to-the-minute certifications like CompTIA Security Plus or CISSP. Those certifications require rigorous testing on how to stop the exact threats happening in the market today.
That makes perfect sense. The credential only matters if it reflects the current reality. Let's move to the infrastructure that houses all of this. Skill number 6 is cloud computing and DevOps. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud.
Huge growth areas.
Yeah, and this pays $120,000 to $180,000. But I hear the word DevOps thrown around in every tech article, and it often just sounds like Silicon Valley buzzword bingo to me.
It really does sound like jargon.
What is the actual, explain it like Uncommon Valley definition of DevOps?
Okay, so 10 years ago, if a company wanted to run a massive website, they had to build a physical, literally refrigerated room full of servers.
Right, the classic server room.
Today, they just rent server space from Amazon or Google. That's the cloud. But someone has to manage that invisible rented factory.
Okay, so DevOps is the management of that.
Yeah, DevOps is a combination of two words. Development, which is the team writing the code, and operations, which is the team making sure the servers don't crash.
Got it.
A DevOps engineer builds automated pipelines so that when a developer writes a new piece of code, it instantly and safely goes live to millions of users without breaking the entire website. It's basically the invisible plumbing of the internet.
The invisible plumbing, I really like that.
Yeah.
And then we hit the final tech skill on our list, which is AI literacy and automation.
And what's fascinating here is that we are actually seeing pure, isolated technical skills beginning to commoditize.
Right, what do you mean by commoditize?
Well, it means the raw ability to just write code is losing its premium value. If all you know is how to write a standard block of Python code, an AI can increasingly do that for you in like 3 seconds.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So the real premium value now lies in AI literacy. It's that hybrid ability to integrate these automated tools into broader workflows. It's not about being the best coder anymore. It's about being the best at automating the coding process.
So you don't just use the tool, you build the factory that uses the tool.
Exactly.
But if the machines are taking over the isolated technical tasks, our conversation naturally has to pivot here. We have to talk about the skills the machines fundamentally cannot execute.
Yes, the human element.
Let's transition to the human-centric revenue drivers. We're looking at skills 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9.
And as technical tasks become automated, the premium placed on irreplaceable human skills just skyrockets, especially when those human skills are paired with the technical tools we just discussed.
Let's start with the skill the data highlights as the absolute most profitable human skill on the board: sales and negotiation.
A classic.
Right. According to the numbers, a good closer can make anywhere from $100,000 to well over $300,000 through commissions, and there's 0 degree required. It is entirely about practice, resilience, and empathy.
Empathy is the key word there.
But let me challenge that word, actually. Empathy. Because I hear sales, and I instantly think of, a high-pressure used car salesman. Why is a modern B2B salesperson making 300 grand just for being empathetic?
Because empathy, in this specific context, is a financial utility.
Good.
It is all about risk absorption.
Risk absorption. How so?
Think about a massive business-to-business deal. The buyer on the other side of the table is about to spend, let's say, $2 million of their company's money on a new software system.
Okay.
If that software fails, that buyer gets fired. They are putting their own career on the line. An AI can give them a perfectly logical spreadsheet of features, but an AI cannot look them in the eye, read the emotional temperature of the room, and absorb that human risk.
I see.
The $300,000 commission isn't for typing a nice email. It's the premium a company pays you to look another human in the eye and build trust, where an algorithm only builds probability. Wow. Empathy as risk absorption. That completely reframes the entire concept of sales for me. Then we have digital marketing and SEO, specifically AI-powered digital marketing, generating organic traffic and running ad strategies. That sits at $80,000 to $150,000.
Yep, very solid numbers.
And right next to it is UX UI design, paying $90,000 to $140,000. The sources mentioned tools like Figma. Can you explain UX UI and how Figma plays into this?
Sure. So UX stands for user experience, and UI stands for user interface. Have you ever downloaded an app, opened it up, and immediately felt frustrated because you couldn't figure out how to navigate it?
Oh, all the time. I usually delete it within like 30 seconds.
Exactly. That is a massive failure of UX design.
Yeah.
A UX designer maps out the psychology of how a human naturally wants to interact with the digital space.
So they're removing the friction.
Exactly. They design the journey that converts a casual visitor into an actual paying customer. And Figma is currently the industry standard software for this because it allows multiple designers and developers to build and test these interfaces in real time together.
Oh, kind of like Google Docs, but for app design.
Yes, exactly like that. Again, it is about understanding human friction and removing it.
And understanding human psychology leads right into our next skill, which is copywriting. Specifically, AI-augmented copywriting. writing to persuade or sell.
Yes, and the data shows the true value here is using AI to do the heavy lifting on drafting, say, 5 different variations of an ad. But you rely on human judgment to refine the actual psychological hooks.
Right, because AI understands grammar, but humans understand desire.
That is perfectly said.
Which brings us to project management, paying $80,000 to $130,000, leading complex, messy teams of human beings using agile methodologies.
Yes, agile is huge.
And the data explicitly notes here that practical, in-the-trenches experience consistently beats having a formal PMP certification. But I need you to translate again. What makes a methodology agile?
Well, traditional project management use something called the waterfall method. You plan a massive project for 6 months, and then you executed it for a year, just hoping the market didn't change in the meantime.
That sounds incredibly risky today.
It is. Agile management completely throws that out. Agile breaks work down into 2-week sprints. You build a tiny piece of the project, you test it, you get feedback, and you adapt immediately.
So it's much more reactive.
Yes, but it requires a project manager who can handle constant human communication, manage daily Scrum meetings, and really navigate the chaos of changing priorities. A machine cannot manage human burnout or team conflicts during a difficult sprint.
This perfectly tees up a concept the World Economic Forum is pushing heavily right now. The T-shaped professional.
Yes, I love this concept.
Explain the T-shape for us.
The idea is that the vertical bar of the T represents deep, highly specialized expertise in one technical skill, say cloud computing or data analysis. But the horizontal bar across the top represents a broad, robust capability in human skills.
Like analytical thinking, creative problem solving, resilience, negotiation.
Exactly. You need both to really thrive.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the ultimate cheat code in this 2026 economy is combining them.
Oh, absolutely.
Think of AI and tech skills like the engine of a sports car, right? They are incredibly powerful. They give you the speed and the mechanics. But human skills, the sales, the empathy, the project management, those are the steering wheel.
Oh, I love that analogy.
I mean, a massive engine is completely useless and honestly potentially dangerous if you don't know how to steer it toward actual revenue.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it. The corporate world is littered with brilliant technical minds who just cannot explain the value of their work to a non-technical stakeholder.
They have the engine, but no steering wheel.
Exactly. The T-shaped professional has both, and they become completely irreplaceable.
So knowing what these skills are and how they interact is incredibly empowering. But we have to address the friction here. We need to talk about overcoming the actual roadblocks to building these skills.
Yes, because it's not always easy.
Right. Knowing the list is great, but how do you practically acquire them and prove your worth if you don't have a university backing you up?
Well, first, we really need to reiterate that caveat from the source material. We are not saying degrees are universally obsolete.
Definitely not.
If you are going to be a neurosurgeon, a corporate lawyer, or a civil engineer building bridges, you need rigorous, formal, regulated credentialing.
Right. Keep the traditional blueprint for the operating room. I do not want a surgeon who learned via a free online boot camp.
Agreed. But for the vast majority of the knowledge, economy, tech, marketing, design, sales, it's about complementing whatever education you have with dynamic skills.
So let's run a scenario. Let's say I bypass the degree for a tech role, and I spend 6 months fiercely mastering Python and data visualization. How do I actually prove to a hiring manager that I have these skills?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. If I don't have a diploma with a fancy wax seal to hand them, what is the mechanism of validation?
The sources are absolutely emphatic on this point. The portfolio has fundamentally replaced the resume. It is all about building a strong, publicly visible body of work.
Give me some examples of what that looks like.
Sure. If you are learning to code, it's building a robust GitHub repository. If you are in UX design, it's a Behance portfolio. If you're in marketing, it's case studies detailing your specific impact on a client's actual revenue.
But wait, how do you build a portfolio if you haven't been hired yet to do the work? Like, where do you get the clients?
You build dummy projects that solve real-world problems. You don't need anyone's permission to analyze a public dataset and build a Tableau dashboard showing how a major airline could optimize their flight routes.
Oh, wow. You just do the work anyway.
You just do it, publish it, and send it to the hiring manager. Showing is vastly more powerful than telling. A diploma tells them you sat in a classroom for 4 years. A portfolio shows them you can actually solve their current problem today.
Okay, but let me voice the anxiety that I know the listener's feeling right now. Skill fatigue.
Oh yeah, it's real.
If I log online right this very second There are like 10,000 courses screaming at me. Boot camps, master classes, subscription
Yeah.
platforms. How do you, as a learner, not just completely freeze up in the face of all that noise?
The paralysis of choice is very real, and the source material addresses this directly. The solution is brutal, narrow focus. Do not try to learn 5 things at once.
So no multitasking.
None. And do not fall into the trap of just collecting cheap course certificates to pad your LinkedIn profile. Pick exactly one high-impact skill from this list. Pick the one that naturally aligns with how your brain works.
Make it play to your strengths.
Exactly. If you are highly analytical, pick data. If you are highly empathetic, pick sales. Focus solely on building real-world projects with that one single skill.
And the accessibility of this knowledge is unprecedented. We acknowledge that not everyone has equal free time. Not everyone has the luxury of quitting their job for a full-time boot camp.
Absolutely.
But the financial barrier to entry is objectively gone. I mean, platforms like Coursera allow you to audit world-class university courses for $0. There's YouTube, there's free code camp. The knowledge itself has been totally democratized.
It really has.
The gap isn't about access to information anymore. The gap is about intense, focused discipline.
The internet has commoditized information. What it hasn't commoditized is focus.
So what does this all mean? We have decoded the data, we've explored the mechanisms behind the tech skills, we've unpacked the financial utility of human skills, and we've navigated the roadblocks.
It's a lot of ground to cover.
Now it is time for the practical takeaway.
Based on all the 2026 data we've analyzed today, we have a direct challenge for you. Look back at the skills we discussed. Pick just one. Dedicate 5 to 10 hours a week to it.
So that's just like one focused hour a day or a dedicated chunk of time on a Sunday afternoon.
Exactly. According to the data, if you maintain that strict discipline, in 90 days, you will see tangible, real-world results. In 90 days, you will have built an actual project that you can show a client or a hiring manager.
90 days to completely alter your professional trajectory. That's powerful.
And I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on, something that builds on this idea of validation and portfolios.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've talked extensively today about how to prove your skills to a human hiring manager using a portfolio instead of a traditional resume. But consider the current trajectory of automation.
Uh-oh, where is this going?
What happens in the next few years when the recruiter evaluating your portfolio isn't a human being at all? What happens when it's an AI agent designed to automatically test your Python code, read your UX copy, or instantly analyze the emotional resonance of your recorded sales calls?
Oh, wow.
Are you building a portfolio that a machine can recognize as brilliant?
That completely flips the script. You are not just optimizing for a human HR department anymore. You are going to have to prove your human empathy and technical precision to an AI gatekeeper.
It's a wild thought to mull over.
It really is. Well, to wrap this up, the universe rewards those who adapt with curiosity and action. A traditional degree, that old blueprint, it might still open a door, but a profitable, demonstrable skill. That is the agile engine, the absolute fuel you need to actually fly in this new economy. Thank you so much for diving deep with us today and exploring this shifting landscape. Keep learning, keep building those portfolios, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.